All right, we're up. We're live. Latest edition, the SEC Power Rankings after another crazy wild weekend of SEC football. All 16 teams ranked on the Power Rankings, including Texas and Oklahoma this year. And as always, Scott, break us down. We always get people very confused. What is the Power Rankings? What metrics am I using? Well, if Team A meets Team B tomorrow on a neutral field, who do I got winning the game? That's the only metric I use for these power rankings. And man, the MIZ fans are feeling themselves. They should be. Big rise in the power rankings this week. Ole Miss, big win for them. They're back on the lane whiffing. Oh, yeah. Oh, I can't wait. I mean, people are feeling it. This is all Mizzou people. I mean, this is basically the Mizzou podcast by this. Spencer got rattled. Yep. Can't wait for the SEC roll call. All right, real quick. We'll start at the bottom. Vanderbilt, of course, 16. Put up a good fight without A.J. Swan against Missouri. I think Missouri was a little looking ahead, but Vanderbilt dead last, 16. I think that's not debatable. 15, Mississippi State put up a little bit of a fight against Alabama. That game's still going on, but Will Rogers so awful. He just threw another pick right as I decided to fire it up after he threw another pick there. So Mississippi State, you're 15 until further ado. You got killed by LSU. Bama's doing whatever the hell they want to you. South Carolina beat you. You're 15th. Damn. Sam Pittman a fraud, they're saying? I ain't buying that yet. I think it's easy. They think it's easy to just roll the ball out and get some wins. But that is where I got Arkansas right now. 14. I think fans are overreacting. Lost to LSU, lost to A&M. We'll get to them. But those are two teams near the top of the power rankings there. So, I mean, it was an awful day. Awful day for Arkansas. They even got a defensive touchdown, and they still could barely put up anything till the very end there. Arkansas, 14, trending poorly. I get it. But look at the back half of their schedule. Ton of winnable games there. So I'm not selling all my stock in Arkansas. I think they just got beat by a really good team. Auburn, 13, showing signs of life. Is that more about Auburn? Is that more about Georgia? I mean, I've been saying it, and I'm going to continue to say it because it looks like it's playing through. Home games are going to be vital this year. Getting a hot quarterback. Oh, I mean, Auburn's got the furthest thing from a hot quarterback, but the ground game, the home game seemed to affect Georgia. So again, Auburn. I mean, what have you look great today and you lost. So I'm not really moving them up. South Carolina 12. Again, South Carolina is who I thought they should be. They're basically Spencer Rattler playing out of his mind, and then without Leggett going, they're nothing. Defense is awful. I knew Tennessee would have a field day with, and Tennessee, I didn't even think that looked that good. They dominated that football game. South Carolina's got real problems outside of Spencer Rattler. Hell, they got multiple quarterbacks playing skill positions to try to help him out. The offensive line is awful. Awful. I'm awful tonight. Slate. Congrats on the mayonnaise bet, says Ethan. Yeah, that's shout out Cousin Shane. Again, teaser, 6 o'clock Eastern, 5 Central. We're going to be Mayoing Cousin Shane. I think the way we're going to have to do it, I think we're going to Mayo Cousin Shane before the show because we're going to do it outside. It's going to be disgusting. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to Mayo him, film it, edit it, and all that. It's all going to be real, and then we'll show it on the show. I think that's the only way to do it. I'm going to get kicked out of his duplex here if I throw mayo all over the walls. Next, what I said, Florida, 11. Oh my God, what happened to Florida? Are they who we thought they were? Maybe it was smoke and mirrors. I mean, it's funny. People were calling out Tennessee. They played one game, they shit the bed, which is true, but only one game where Kentucky's really showed up. I mean, not counting McNeese. So Florida, I got you number 11. Do not. I mean, they're the opposite of Arkansas. Arkansas's got a Manageable schedule. Florida. They got Vanderbilt coming up. Every other game is a potential loss for Florida. They play like they did today. Florida's going to lose every game but the Vanderbilt game. Tennessee, number 10. Again, I'm not bumping you up much because you won at home. You beat who I got, number 12, South Carolina. Joe Milton, Cousin Shane and I watch the game. Every time he fires the ball, we don't know who's going to catch it. Defense, offense, it's going to sky. I mean, it's bubble screens. Without a running game, Tennessee's screwed. But they got an elite running game, I believe. So, defense looked all right. They were all over Rattler. That was key to the game. So, Tennessee, I'm giving you a 10. Not a great team, clearly. Decent team. Number 9, Alabama. Again, I ain't buying it. They're Ole Miss, suddenly that looks like a good win, but we got to give them their respect. We'll get to them in a minute. But Mississippi State, you're smashing Mississippi State. That's great. I don't know how to judge it. We'll see against Texas A&M week. I don't want to give away my pick, but if what I think happens in that A&M Alabama game, you guys are all going to be saying there's a decaying dynasty with me. So Bama's 9, Ole Miss number 8, and that's tricky. People can get mad at that. How in the hell can Ole Miss be higher than Alabama? Well, they lost in Tuscaloosa. They shit the bed. Alabama didn't even impress me in that game, and they won it. Alabama, this is more Ole Miss kind of coming to life. Their backs were against the wall. They had to win. If Ole Miss didn't win today, their season's done. And their defense is still awful. I mean, just awful. I can't believe they stopped LSU at the end. They're so awful. Got Judkins going. That's critical to the entire season. So give Ole Miss their respect. I got them number 8. I got LSU still number 7. Again, this is if LSU and Ole Miss met tomorrow on a neutral field, I'm picking LSU. And that may not be fair. They've lost 2 games already, but Danny's mad. I mean, beat somebody, Tennessee. You played 2 SEC and you've only beaten one of them. But LSU, they're probably the biggest disappointment right now in the SEC. They're not competing for the SEC with that defense. They're awful. Missouri, number 6. Looked a little shaky against Vanderbilt. You controlled that game. Refs really screwed you out of some stuff. And all of a sudden, that luster's lost thanks to LSU shit in the bed. So, Mizzou, you're locked in top 6. That's pretty fantastic. I think most Mizzou fans would take it. Number 5, Kentucky. Those fans have been waiting for some respect. They're getting it. Number 5 right now in the SEC. Where's Shane? Shane's in bed. He's got work tomorrow. He's not even popping on here. Kentucky, they may be legit. Well, they're going to Georgia next week. That's the game of the year in the SEC. Kentucky at Georgia. Cannot wait for that one. I don't know why game day's not going to it. Well, maybe I do understand. All right, number 4, A&M. No drop off with Max Johnson. Max Johnson's locked in. Defense tenacious. 2 weeks in a row. Suffocating Auburn. Suffocating Arkansas. All over KJ. Texas A&M may have fixed their defense. And if so, they're going to be a problem. They could win the West. I truly believe that. After seeing LSU's defense, after seeing Ole Miss defense, after seeing Alabama offense, I think Texas A&M right now looks like the most complete team in the SEC West. So that gives me Georgia, number 3. Thought about docking them even below A&M, but I still think I'd take Georgia on a neutral field right now over A&M, but that's slight. It's very, very slight. So top 2. People think I'm trolling, but I mean, who else are you going to put up here? I got Oklahoma, number 2, who just blew the doors off of Iowa State. I mean, hell, they had 40 points at halftime. They could have went to 80 points, I think, if they really wanted to put it on Iowa State. And then Texas, they look dominant. They beat the hell out of Kansas. And Kansas had some luck touchdown there. It was not even as... I think they won by like 20 points. It was not even as close as the final score indicated. They should be ranked over Georgia. I really do believe that. Let me see what you guys got in the comments here. True, he mad Lane Kiffin is Tennessee daddy. What? I got Ole Miss over Tennessee. What are you talking about? Lane Whiffen, he finally won a game. Good for him. He kind of lost the one that he ran his mouth about all week, though. Bo says nothing's good enough for the SEC for the Aggie haters. I don't know. I think we've been giving them. I think we pumped A&M up more than anybody this offseason. We were just pissed off they lost to Miami. Pittman done? I don't think so. I don't think Pittman's done. I think overreaction. Here's the thing about Arkansas, and this is not what their fans want to hear, and I'm not trying to say they should just settle for less, but who are you going to get to take that job? I think Arkansas, outside of Vanderbilt, is probably the toughest job in the SEC, and it's only getting tougher with Texas and Oklahoma coming in. It's not a job that these coaches are running to grab. It's just not. And again, that doesn't mean you settle, but this is what happens when you have the best pair of coordinators in the entire SEC. That's what they had the last couple of years, and they change them. And Dan Enos, so far, I mean, that looks like a bust. And Travis Williams, I think he's doing a hell of a job, but still, there's an adjustment. You can't just switch out your two coordinators when you had the best combo and upgrade. That's asinine. What else we got here? Red River next week. Yes, sir. The SEC's best going head to head. What else we got here? Ags on top, though. Props. Yep. I mean, A&M's, they're legit. Yep. Home field tonight. That was the difference. South Carolina, Tennessee. I figured it would be. Joe Milton, hard to watch. I agree with that. Pittman, not done. I agree with that. Fire Clayton White. I'm not a big fan of firing people in the middle of the season. I don't know what that accomplishes, but I don't think I would fire him. I don't think South Carolina's that talented on defense. Brady Cook, top 3 SEC quarterback. I think he's about there now. I got him number 4 right now, but if he outduels Jane Daniels next week, let's get Brady top 3. He earned it. Let's see what else we got here. Big ol' L for the Hogs. Yep, I mean that was tough. Yeah, it was tough. Kentucky and Mizzou just about lose our rest of the season. Their run is over. Georgia going. I can't even read that. No wonder his name's riddle me this. I love this idea. Christopher, we've been saying it. Aggies, Longhorns, Natty. For those that don't know, the national championship is in Houston. Like Hank Hill has once said, in all Texas Super Bowl, his will be done. I'll sign up for that. LSU defense is terrible. They're done. Hard to argue with that. But also, how many dynamic offenses LSU going to play the rest of the way? Not Alabama. A&M maybe at the end of the season. Let's look up their schedule real quick. LSU. And this is not updated. They don't have the Ole Miss one. Missouri, Auburn, Army, Alabama, Florida. I mean, I agreed. I said it at the top. LSU's defense is obviously what's holding them back. They're not championship caliber, but they're not going to face another offense as good as Ole Miss until potentially the final game. So I don't think it eliminates them from much. Luther Burden, number 1 in the nation. Agree. Receiver. $5. Appreciate you, Crawdad. If pooping in your pants is cool. Center Shane Beamer, Miles Davis. I don't think Beamer shit the bed tonight. I really don't. I don't think he's got a good team. And that's why I locked up Tennessee. Feel bad for the let's see. Yep, feel bad for the Hogs. They get owned. Williams says Ray Davis definitely made a big impact out of the transfer portal. Bigger than Leary, yeah. This is why, and I go back and listen. Media days, we did an interview with the KSR boys. I told them Ray Davis, I'm voting him all SEC ballot, and they were pretty surprised by that. But I mean, he's been dynamic. He's definitely first team all SEC running back right now. Why won't State let Rodgers throw the damn ball? Well, he threw multiple picks tonight. I think they let him throw a little too much. Vol smoke A&M in 2 weeks. Ooh, I don't know if I agree with that. I think A&M could dominate them on the line of scrimmage. But do you think Auburn is on the rise? I mean, based on today, they sure as hell look like it. I mean, they have no quarterback, and they took the alleged number one team down to the wire. So, absolutely, Auburn on the rise, recruiting like crazy. This year, LSU was last year, Tennessee. Tennessee wasn't even that bad on defense, except in one game. Spencer took 0 big shots tonight. He didn't have time. He's running for his life. If he would have sat back there and tried to cork one, he would have got destroyed. Hey, we built the Mizzou bandwagon. I don't know what you're talking about. Dakota says, go Vols, baby. Shane is fired and picking South Carolina to win. The reverse jinx. He used his power, his evil lock powers for good this time. Think Kentucky can win on the road next week against Georgia? Yeah, I do. And no one's going to be picking them, and that's fine. That's the Kentucky way. But Georgia is not elite. I don't know who in the hell's watching Georgia football that's voting them number one and thinking they're a shoo-in. Anyone saying that is basing it on the last couple of years and what that team is. And that's not, I'm not sitting here saying Georgia's bad. Hell, I've never said Georgia shouldn't be the pick to win the East. I'm just saying they shouldn't be number one. They've done nothing to earn that this season. And I'm not convinced they'll win the SEC at this point in time, although nobody out of the West is stepping up aside from A&M. So, yes, I do think Kentucky can win in Athens next weekend. Here come the Cats. The conversation has been who's second in the East. It's about who's first. Ooh. Kentucky beats Georgia by 10. Whoa. Ain't going that far. But I'd take a 1-point win if I'm a Kentucky fan. Let's see. Professor, do you believe the Aggies are for real, or are Auburn and Arkansas just not very good? I think A&M's for real. I think that Miami game threw me for a loop. I think it threw a lot of us for the loop because, I mean, aside from that game, A&M's defense has been elite. So that's what they've been missing now that they got Bobby Petrino. There's no drop-off with Max Johnson in there. They got the weapons. They got everything. A&M may be the pick out of the West now after LSU just went down. Rankings. Can't wait to see Shane in that spoil. It's not going to be spoiled Mayo. It'll be fresh. I'm not that mean to him. I'm sure I'm glad it's not going to be me with that damn Mayo on me. I'll tell you that. UGA's average. I don't know if I go average because that means no one's good, right? What else we got here? Don't shit the bed next week, Kentucky. How crazy is it that we're sitting here? It's officially October as we're sitting here recording this. We're past midnight. Kentucky, Missouri, and Georgia remain the only undefeated teams in the SEC, all out of the East. We all us East people got to hear about how great the West is and how they ain't got real football in the East except Georgia. It's Georgia and a couple of doors, and then over here in the West, we're the greatest. You know, the East kicked your ass last year. Looks like the East may kick your ass again this year. How about that? Shane is a true Vol. He knew the outcome of the game, and he was willing to take a Mayo bath for the win. Here's the real story behind the Mayo, a little behind the scenes, because we genuinely do not talk about our picks before we make them. We've never on the live show. But we wanted to do the Mayo bath. And all week, Shane was heavily concerned that South Carolina was going to beat Tennessee. But he said, I'm the Tennessee homer. I have to pick Tennessee. I don't think I've ever picked Tennessee to lose a football game. I have to pick Tennessee. And I said, who do you think is going to win the game? He said, I know South Carolina's going to win it. he's being a negaval. And I said, well, I know Tennessee's going to spank that ass. So let's just reverse it. And I'll pick Tennessee. You pick the Gamecocks because that's who you're wanting to pick. Who cares if you're the Tennessee homer? People will still have a good time with you having Mayo for something the Vols did. So that was kind of a little the back. So that was the one time that we discussed our picks before doing it. And again, I'm glad we did it that way. Yeah, Danny, appreciate it. That is, I said Kentucky, dark horse to win the East. Go look up the video. One of my bold picks. And Shane, credit Shane. He said Mizzou 10-game wins. I said Kentucky. I can't believe that we both may have nailed that. I mean, that was probably the first time in this show's history where we both nailed something there. Okay, let's see. What else we got here? Prediction, Mizzou, LSU. Too early for that. Ain't going there. SEC title, Kentucky, A&M. Last time they played, I remember, it was a classic, if I recall, down in College Station. Luther Burden and Theo Weiss, better than any receiving combo in the East. The streets are talking. Not better than Xavier Legette and a healthy Juice Wells, but the problem is Juice Wells not been healthy, so maybe. Kentucky's got a good trio, but I'd give the edge to Mizzou. Yeah, definitely. Hot take, A&M versus Tennessee, winner goes to the playoff. That's a little too hot for me. Where's cousin Shane? Walking lap? Nope, Shane's sleeping. All right, what we got here? I think I'm way behind on the comments. Yep, that's the entire SEC is average to slightly good. No. Okay, what do we got here? Tide going down. How about them Aggies? That's going to be a hell of a game right there. Texas A&M hosting Alabama next week. How about that schedule? Let's look at that schedule real quick. I was just looking at it. LSU at Missouri. Mizzou's probably going to be higher rated than LSU, at least they should be. Western Michigan at Mississippi State. Yeah, no one cares about that. Alabama at Texas A&M, CBS. That's going to be a hell of a game. Vanderbilt at Florida. Oh, God, Billy, don't you lose to Vanderbilt again. They had me on Feinbaum about a week ago. Billy Napier, 1-7 outside the Swamp. Thankfully, this game's at the Swamp. He may finally get a win here over Vanderbilt. Kentucky at Georgia. Arkansas at Ole Miss. Wouldn't it be the Lane Kiffin way to get that big win and then shit his pants and lose to Arkansas? That'd be great. I'm not picking it, though. I'm not picking that. At least not yet. How is Leary this bad? I have no idea. If Leary would lived up to the hype, Kentucky may win the national championship. But he's not awful, but he's just, I don't know. I guess, sometimes we mock the ACC and the Pac-12 and all this. I think it may have been true that time. Those defenses are just not the caliber of what he's seeing, and he can't handle it. He's not good. He's about as good as these Auburn quarterbacks, and they've been awful. Georgia gonna lose to Kentucky. I don't know about that. Vols win next week. Next week is a bye week, brother. Too bad we both have a loss, so game day won't make the trip to Aggie Land. Yeah, that's true. I feel like they've done enough A&M Alabama games, so I spread the love. I think they should be at Missouri. I really do. Of course, LSU shit the bed. Hot take here from Wee Marcus. SEC title game won't feature either Alabama or Georgia. Not ready to go that far. I am on Alabama, but not Georgia. A&M isn't getting past Bama defense. Bama going to keep winning ugly games. Well, that's the only way they can win it, I think, in SEC play, because they ain't scoring much. All right, 25 minutes. Anything else here? Probably cap this thing. There's one thing I don't get. Everybody keeps saying NIL and transfers has leveled the playing field. Here's the problem with that. What schools have the most NIL? It's SEC. What schools are getting the most transfers? Aside from like crazy Colorado and stuff like that, it's SEC. So I think it hurts Georgia's and Alabama's because some of their depth leaves. I do think that. But no, the transfer portal has immensely helped the likes of LSU, Tennessee, Arkansas, Ole Miss, to a degree, Florida. I'm trying to think. South Carolina, tremendously helped by the portal. So, no, the SEC is benefiting more from these things than anything. Because players are not leaving to go to the Pac-12 because of NIL. They're not going to the ACC because of NIL, because they got more money. That's nonsensical. That's just something people are pointing to. The problem with the SEC right now is a lot of turnover at offensive coordinator, 11 new offensive coordinators, I believe, out of the 14, and a bunch of quarterbacks that are inexperienced or not living up to the hype. So that is affecting the offensive game plan, so people think they're not good. Someone says BYU has 63 true. Maybe BYU's got insane NIL. I don't think so. UK beats Tennessee by 2 to 3 scores. I think you meant points, because it ain't going to be scores. Unless you mean field goals, maybe. 2 field goals. I could see that. Yeah, exactly. Georgia got Missouri's number 1 receiver through the portal. I mean, that's not hurting Georgia. Ole Miss will beat Auburn. Well, that's not saying much. Auburn's not good. All right, anything else here before we hop off? We're 12:30 East Coast here. I'm going to recap the power rankings real quick. Texas, number 1. Oklahoma, number 2. Showdown of the top 2 game day next week. Georgia, 3. A&M, 4. Kentucky, 5. Mizzou, 6. LSU, 7. Ole Miss, 8. Alabama, 9. Tennessee, 10. Florida, 11. South Carolina, 12. Auburn, 13. Arkansas, 14. Mississippi State, 15. And Vanderbilt, 16. That's your updated SEC power rankings as we hit the month of October. Stay tuned. Sunday night, 6 Eastern, 5 Central. Mayo Bath, game recaps. Cousin Shane, can't wait. Appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out. We'll catch you hopefully Sunday.